He said, that's okay, boy. Won't you feed him whenever you can? Come on, take a load off.
When someone says Thanksgiving movie, what pops into your head? Now, for most of us, it's the heartwarming chaos of the 80s and 90s. It's John Candy and Steve Martin trying to get home in planes, trains, and automobiles, or Holly Hunter's family imploding in Home for the Holidays. These films have come to define Turkey Day on screen. But what if I told you there's a whole other flavour of Thanksgiving movies from the 1970s that time just, well, forgot? Now, the truth is, there are very few big theatrical Thanksgiving movies from the 70s. So, tonight, we're ripping the tape off some buried reels to look at the few films that tried to capture the Thanksgiving spirit during a decade of massive social change. We'll even look at a movie from the 90s that so perfectly captures the cynical soul of a 70s Thanksgiving, we just had to include it. It's time to uncover the forgotten holiday films of the 70s. So first up is a film that technically missed the decade by a few months, but it's so spiritually a 70s movie, we can't possibly ignore it. I'm talking about Arthur Penn's 1969 satirical comedy, Alice's Restaurant. Based on Arlo Guthrie's iconic 18-minute song, Alice's Restaurant Massacre, this film is the perfect appetizer for our trip into 70s Thanksgiving weirdness.
This song is called Alice's Restaurant. It's about Alice.
The song and the movie tell the mostly true story of how Guthrie and his friend, after a huge Thanksgiving dinner at their friend Alice's house, in a desecrated church no less, decided to help clean up. Their good deed backfires spectacularly. They find the local dump closed for the holiday, so they do the next logical thing and dump the garbage down a hillside. Now, this act of littering leads to their arrest by the unforgettable Officer Obie, a ridiculous trial, and ultimately a criminal record that makes Guthrie ineligible for the Vietnam War draft. The movie takes this simple, absurd story and expands it into a rambling, bittersweet portrait of the late 60s counterculture. It's less about a single plot and more about a feeling, the freedom, the disillusionment, and the search for a tribe in a rapidly changing America. The Thanksgiving dinner itself isn't the main event, but the entire story hinges on it. It's what kicks off the massacre and everything that follows. Arthur Penn, fresh off his groundbreaking work on Bonnie and Clyde, doesn't romanticize the hippie lifestyle. He shows the joy, sure, but also the messiness and the melancholy that came with it. Alice's Restaurant became a Thanksgiving tradition on radio stations across the country, an anti-establishment anthem for a generation questioning everything, including what it even meant to be thankful. It set the stage for a decade where even the coziest holiday could be seen through a cynical, complicated lens. From the counterculture to a New York City fantasy, our next pick is a film many have seen, but few remember as a Thanksgiving movie. Sidney Lumet's 1978 musical The Wiz. Now, this spectacular adaptation of the Broadway smash reimagines The Wizard of Oz with an all-black cast, including Diana Ross as Dorothy and Michael Jackson as the Scarecrow. But it's how the journey begins that lands it on our list. The story kicks off on Thanksgiving Day. Dorothy, a shy 24-year-old schoolteacher, is at a massive family dinner in Harlem. The warmth and chaos of the gathering feel overwhelming, and when her aunt pressures her to move on with her life, Dorothy feels totally lost. Chasing her dog Toto out into a snowstorm, she is swept up by a cyclone and transported to the magical land of Oz. Here, Thanksgiving isn't a backdrop for a cozy meal, it's the emotional catalyst for a fantastical escape. The holiday serves to highlight Dorothy's feelings of being stuck and her desire for something more, a theme that resonated in the 70s. The film uses the pressure cooker of a family holiday to launch a vibrant, imaginative adventure about finding your own courage, heart, and brains. It's a story about learning to come out of your shell, framed by a holiday that, for many, is about the pressure to conform. It's a forgotten Thanksgiving classic precisely because its holiday element is the one thing that feels the most real before the fantasy takes over. Now, our next film won the Oscar for Best Picture and became a cultural phenomenon. But do you remember that Rocky is a Thanksgiving movie? Released in 1976, this ultimate underdog story is so famous that its holiday setting is often overlooked. But the film's Thanksgiving scene is crucial, perfectly capturing the gritty, down-to-earth tone that made it a 70s masterpiece. The holiday finds our hero, Rocky Balboa, at his lowest. His first date with the painfully shy Adrian is on Thanksgiving night. holiday isn't a time for celebration, it's just another cold day in Philadelphia. He takes her ice skating at a deserted rink and walks her home. Their fragile connection a small bit of warmth in a bleak world.
I just dislocated my finger. Look at that. No, hey, wait, hey, it ain't your fault. Look, see? Look, it's an old wound. You see that? Look, see? Nothing, it bends like that. See, I originally done it. Look, push the button. Bong, it works. No, it ain't your fault. Look, I'm gonna show you something.
7 minutes!
The real drama, however, happens at Adrian's house. Her abusive brother, Paulie, explodes in a drunken rage, furious that Adrian was out with Rocky instead of serving him his Thanksgiving turkey. In a now famous fit of anger, Paulie takes the turkey from the oven and hurls it into the back alley. This isn't the heartwarming family dinner of other holiday films. It's a raw, painful, and deeply sad moment that highlights the loneliness and desperation of its characters. Thanksgiving in Rocky isn't about gratitude, it's about survival. It shows two lonely people finding a glimmer of hope on a day that only emphasizes what they lack. So for our next film, we head to a concert hall for one of the greatest music documentaries ever made, Martin Scorsese's 1978 film, The Last Waltz. Now this isn't a fictional story, it's a document of the final legendary concert of the band, which took place on Thanksgiving Day 1976 at the Winterland Ballroom in San Francisco, and it was a Thanksgiving event like no other.
Hey, look, my friend, what about a young Anna Lee?
Scorsese didn't just film a concert, he captured the end of an era. The band, who had backed Bob Dylan and became icons of American rock, decided to call it quits. For their final show, they invited a staggering lineup of musical royalty, from Muddy Waters and Neil Young to Joni Mitchell and Van Morrison. More than that, they threw a party. The event included a full turkey dinner for the 5,000 audience members, turning a rock show into a massive communal and slightly surreal Thanksgiving feast. The film intertwines blistering live performances with interviews where the band members reflect on their 16 years on the road with a mix of pride, weariness, and cynicism. The Thanksgiving setting gives the whole affair a feeling of a bittersweet family reunion. It's a celebration, but it's also a funeral for a certain kind of rock and roll dream. The Last Waltz is a Thanksgiving movie about a chosen family falling apart, using the holiday of coming together as the backdrop for a spectacular goodbye. So, for our final film, we have to cheat a little. This movie wasn't made in the 1970s, but it is perhaps the most quintessentially 70s Thanksgiving movie ever made. I'm talking about Ang Lee's brilliant 1997 film, The Ice Storm. So set in November of 1973 in a wealthy Connecticut suburb, the film is a chillingly precise autopsy of the confusion and moral decay of the post-Watergate era, all unfolding over Thanksgiving weekend. The story follows two neighboring families, the Hoods and the Carvers, as they drift through the hollowed-out landscape of their lives. The adults are drowning in booze, casual adultery, and quiet desperation. Their kids, left to their own devices, experiment with sex, drugs, and petty rebellion, mimicking their parents' aimlessness. The entire film builds toward a fateful Thanksgiving night, where the adults attend a key party, that infamous bit of 70s spouse-swapping law where men drop their car keys in a bowl and women randomly pick a set to decide who they're going home with. As the adults fumble through their awkward, pathetic attempts at connection, a brutal ice storm rolls in, encasing the town in a beautiful but deadly sheet of ice. Now, the storm is a perfect metaphor for the frozen emotional state of the characters. The Ice Storm is a dark, unsettling film. There's no heartwarming lesson here, no last-minute reconciliation. It shows a Thanksgiving drained of all warmth and meaning, leaving only emptiness and tragedy in its wake. Though made 2 decades later, it so perfectly captures the cynical, soul-sick feeling of the me decade that it feels like a lost artifact from the era itself. So, what are some of your favourite forgotten holiday gems from the 70s or any other decade? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoy unearthing film history that time tried to bury, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive.